But let's continue to get more reaction on the Russia-South Africa BRICS Summit. Russia following the announcement by South Africa, of course, that Russian President Vladimir Putin will not be attending the BRICS Summit to be held in August due to the warrant of arrest issued by the ICC against Putin. We cross now to SABC News correspondent Dasha Chernyshova in Moscow. Well, Dasha, we obviously heard from the presidency here in South Africa that there was a mutual agreement that the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, would not be attending. There has not been any official statement or comment from Moscow. What have they been telling you, though?
Well, we actually have seen this statement coming from Dmitry Peskov, Kremlin spokesperson, confirming that Moscow indeed has decided that the Russian President Vladimir Putin will not attend the BRICS summit in person. That's according to Russia's RIA news agency. We understand the Russian president will instead meeting via the video link, and the country will be represented in person with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Those discussions have been in the making for quite a while now, but there has been no official reasoning as to this decision has been made. There have been several options and several versions that have been running by the Russian expert community, with some also suggesting that it is not just because of the ICC warrant, which was described in Moscow as null and void, but also because of an opportunity for the Russian president to face be threatened because of an assassination attempt that could be arranged by the Western special services. So indeed, there have been a lot of discussions whether the Russian president will go or not, but the Kremlin has today said that the Russian president will indeed participate in the full format, but via the video link.
Of course, we know that next week, at the end of this month, there will be that Russia-Africa summit that is also very important, as it does, feature some African leaders and, of course, peace talks in as far as the Ukraine-Russia war is concerned. What can we expect there?
Well, as we have heard, the Kremlin is in active preparation to this Russia-Africa summit that will be held in St. Petersburg, Russia's second largest city. We also understand that the participants from over 40 countries have confirmed their participation in this summit. Certainly, we're expecting the sides to deepen cooperation, as Russia has been trying to deepen its cooperation and to beef our partnership with the African states. We also expect some frank discussions to be held between Russia and Africa, particularly when it comes to the Ukrainian crisis. We remember there was the delegation of the African leaders coming to Russia to see the Russian President Vladimir Putin after they have visited Ukraine. So certainly they have been coming with peace proposals, and indeed we will be following the developments if they discuss this matter as well. And of course, the issue of grain deliveries to the countries in need is one of the issues that is expected to top the agenda. Russia has been saying that it is willing to supply the grain that was supplied to the poorest countries in need under the grain deal, Black Sea Grain Initiative, for free now. So certainly the discussions in this area are also expected, but there is a whole host of issues that the countries could be talking about, and Russia has been saying that those African countries are under pressure from the West, as the Western countries are forcing them to follow their suit instead of making friends and partnership with Moscow.
Just talking about the West, of course, conversations around, geopolitical relations with the West for South Africa, as an example, given the whole, Putin not coming to, or when he was intended to come to Russia, that is, and now, of course, not coming. Just how are those relations, happening, and how are they being managed, especially if you consider that, the relations with South Africa and Russia at the moment are quite sensitive?
Well, Russia is saying that the relationship between the countries have to be built on the equal partnership basis. There has to be no pressure from other countries. So that's why Moscow has been insisting that the multipolar world is now in the making, and the Western countries that have been taking the position of a hegemon, as Moscow describes it, now need to realize that the world will never be as it used to be. And that's why Moscow is insisting statement that all countries have to be treated as equals. There should be no idea of superiority of one country over the other. So definitely the issue of beefing up the relations, including the transactions in local currencies, including the mutual partnership and beneficial projects that could be struck and launched between the countries, will also be discussed. So with regard to that, what Moscow is insisting is that the Western countries have to realize and come to terms with the changing realities on the ground when it comes to this geopolitical agenda. But speaking of the Russian relations with the West, we have seen a very cool footing here. There is no friendship as it used to be. Russia realizes that it cannot rely on the Western world, so that's why Russia is increasing its partnership with other countries of the world. But Russia has also been building relations with them before, so certainly there is a lot at stake. There are many intricacies because of the bilateral relations and then bilateral relations between other countries. But we will come and see what comes out of this Russia-Africa summit, because certainly we will be hearing about some projects to be announced after the summit actually takes place.